For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. Was Francis the last pope? What the Irish saint said in his ominous 12th century prophecy. Irish Saint Malachy prophesied in the 12th century that there would be only one more pope after Benedict. According to the Irish website irishcentral.com, the prophecies of the Bishop of Armagh, 1994 have caused fear and anxiety among people for centuries. In a series of 112 cryptic Latin phrases, the Irish saint predicts the Roman Catholic popes. He foresaw that there would be only one more pope after Benedict, and that the end of the world would come during his reign. After Benedict came Francis, who died on April 21. The final prophecy of Saint Malachy is rather detailed. In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, Peter the Roman will reign, who will feed his flock through many tribulations, after which the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. The end. Pope Francis, born George Mario Bergoglio, chose his papal name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi. One theory attempting to link him to Malachy's prophecy claims that the name of Saint Francis's father was Pietro, Peter. In 1139, Archbishop Malachy traveled to Rome from Ireland to report on his affairs. While in the Eternal City, he received a strange vision of the future. He saw each pope by name and in exact order, 112 in total from that moment to the end of time. Malachy recounted his visions to Pope Innocent II, but the document remained unknown in the Roman archives until it was discovered in 1590. His predictions have been taken very seriously. According to one report, in 1958, before the conclave that elected Pope John XXII, Cardinal Spellman of New York rented a boat, filled it with sheep, and sailed up and down the Tiber River to show that he was a pastor at Notre, the motto assigned to the next pope in the prophecies. Regarding the prophecy about the 111th pope, Pope Benedict, it states, Gloria Oliva, the glory of the olive. The order of Saint Benedict is also known as the Olivetans. Malachy says that the next and last pope after Benedict will be Peter the Roman. Over the centuries, researchers have matched many of Malachy's phrases to actual popes. For example, Pope Urban VII's 1623-1644 was described with Lilium et Rosa, the lily and the rose. He was from Florence, whose emblem includes a lily. Pope John Paul Uvia's Carol Whatever was described as Dilabor Solis, meaning off the solar eclipse. He was born on May 18, 1920, during a solar eclipse. Peregrinus Apostolicus, the Pilgrim Pope, referring to Pope Pius VI, also seems accurate, given his many journeys to distant lands. The bloody tears of a Virgin Mary statue near Rome under DNA investigation, a miracle, is unlikely, as both the Catholic Church and prosecutors are investigating. In 2014, the mystic Gisela Cardia bought a statue of the Virgin Mary from a religious site in Medjugorje, Bosnia. She brought it back to Trevignano Romano, near Rome. Cardia made incredible claims about the statue, prompting many believers to flock to the hill where the statue was kept. She said the ceramic figure transmitted messages, cried bloody tears, multiplied food, and performed various other miracles. The Catholic Church investigates such claims with caution. In 2024, the Diocese of Civita Castellana ruled that the events were non-supernatural, following investigations involving clergy, psychologists, theologians, and external experts. But the Church isn't the only institution investigating the alleged miracle. Prosecutors in Civitavecchia are investigating Cardia for possible fraud after a private detective revealed that the blood on the statue may have come from a pig. However, DNA tests conducted as part of the investigation have already concluded that the blood did not belong to a pig. According to Corriere della Sera, prosecutors state that the blood samples taken from the statue match the genetic profile of Gisella Cardia herself. Cardia's lawyers told Corriere della Sera that it has yet to be determined whether the DNA is a single profile or a mixture, but they do not rule out a miracle. Who can say? Do you know the DNA of the Madonna? Can anyone tell us? There are no answers to these questions. Religious artifacts and icons are often promoted as possessing miraculous powers, but many times behind these wonders are fraudsters. In a similar case in 2008, it was discovered that a statue of the Virgin Mary cried the blood of the church caretaker who owned it. In 1995, the owner of a male statue that was supposedly crying blood refused a DNA test. The results of the DNA test, assigned to a prominent forensic geneticist, are expected to be handed over to prosecutors. Is Ezekiel's biblical vision of the chariot evidence of a UFO? Erich von Däniken believes it was an alien craft. Scientists remain skeptical among the many accounts in the Bible describing strange and otherworldly events. The story of the prophet Ezekiel is one of the most captivating, especially when viewed through the lens of modern technology. It paints a picture suggesting that our ancient ancestors may have been visited by an advanced race, not gods. Ezekiel's vision of the chariot is thought by some to describe a spacecraft used by advanced beings to travel through the cosmos and make contact. Erich von Däniken is a leading proponent of this theory, offering arguments for an alternative interpretation of the Book of Ezekiel. Von Däniken's Chariots of the Gods. In the 1970s, von Däniken was invited to a secret meeting at NASA where he met aerospace engineer Joseph F. Blumrich. They discussed von Däniken's ancient astronaut theory from his book Chariots of the Gods. Blumrich initially set out to disprove it, thinking it absurd. But after conducting his own research, he changed his mind. According to him, Ezekiel was undeniably describing a sophisticated spacecraft. Ezekiel and his vision. Ezekiel is a key figure in Judaism, appearing in many biblical texts. He spent his early years in Jerusalem but was later taken captive to Babylon around 597 BCE, along with King Jehoiachin and 10,000 others. He is described as a prophet. One remarkable feature of the book of Ezekiel is that it is written in the first person, suggesting the author might be Ezekiel himself. Unlike most biblical texts, which are in the third person, the flying chariot with wheels, for I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. 5 also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance, they had the likeness of a man. 6 and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings 7. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Ezekiel 1. Ezekiel describes a chariot with wheels descending from the sky, operated by beings with the appearance of a man, while many biblical versions interpret this being as God. Von D. Nyken points out that the original Hebrew never mentions God. That word was added later. The description of Ezekiel's chariot landing sounds very much like a spacecraft. The whirlwind, flashes of lightning, and gleaming lights suggest a high-tech descent. Ezekiel's vision and the biblical illustration of the Merkava. There is a notable contrast between Ezekiel's vivid description and how it is depicted in biblical art, which often omits the fire, the multi-directional wheels, and the crystalline dome over the beings' heads, the 4 living creatures. 15. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with his 4 faces. 16. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. 18. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. Ezekiel 1. Many interpret the 4 beings as cherubim or angelic creatures, as seen in Genesis 3:24 and Exodus 25 and Wedit 20. Some hypothesize that these human-like beings were aliens who took Ezekiel aboard their UFO, bringing him to a temple atop a high mountain. During the flight, Ezekiel notes feeling the hand of the Lord upon him, which could be interpreted as gravitational force during liftoff. The temple may have been a base or city where they lived. Evidence in various biblical stories, the Ark of the Covenant is a central object of interest to Von D. Nyken's theory. He claims that texts like the Kebra Nagast, which recounts Christianity in Ethiopia during King Solomon's reign, reveal that Solomon had flying machines, not mentioned in the Bible, and possessed the highly coveted ark. These ancient writings note that people feared the ark because it often killed those who touched it. Could this have happened because the artifact was radioactive or electrically charged? Was the ark a plutonium reactor? Von D. Nyken argues that other biblical passages support his ancient astronaut theory, including some suggesting similar temples or landing zones for spaceships, very much like Ezekiel's vision. One such site is Chavin de Ho Intar in Peru, located high in the mountains and shrouded in mystery. The temple features winged figures and carved heads that appear to wear helmets. Von Däniken believes they share the same origin as the beings described by Ezekiel.